Okay, so today's video is about a mountain man's possibility pouch. In the era of the mountain man, they had to be self-reliant, and they would carry a pouch with everything inside of the pouch that would allow them to survive in the wilderness, self-sufficient. So they would have like gunpowder, flint, anything that they thought was necessary, needle and thread, tobacco, stuff that they needed day to day to survive in their mountain man lifestyle because they were totally independent. Well, this is my version. I had seen a blog by Melissa Bachman a few years ago about what she carries in her truck for during the hunting season, and I thought it would be kind of a neat way to do this. I developed this box over a few years, and I add to it and I take away as I see that stuff that I like or I don't like. Now the idea of the box is not just when I go to my trapping camp, it's when I go hunting or I go anywhere. I usually throw it in the back of my truck so that it's there, and if I need something, I'm able to go ahead and pick it up and sort things out. The ability to repair things, the ability to have a backup is super important. Today's possibility box has a lot of electronic stuff in it, charging cables, my GPS, different things that I'll use in the course of my outings in the wilderness. Okay, so in the box, one of the things I always like to have when we're at the camp at night, whether I'm hunting or trapping or doing whatever at a camp or a cottage, I like to bring some reading material. And I always bring, because I'm a trapper, I always bring the latest issues of the different magazines. So I usually bring Trapper Post, Fur Fishing Game, Trapper Predator Color, the latest issue of the IT, All for Shipper Council magazine, and my favorite is the Canadian Trapper magazine. It's all about trapping that goes on across Canada. So inside of my possibilities box, one thing I like to have is a little personal hygiene kit. One of the things that drives me crazy when I'm away from home is not being able to brush my teeth, so I always make sure I have a spare with some spare toothpaste inside. The other thing is some shampoo, hair shampoo, some soap, some Benadryl in case you get stung by something and you want to try to stop a reaction, and spare roll of toilet paper just in case. Along with the toilet paper that I really like to have for the outhouse is hygiene wipes. They're usually called baby wipes. They're really good for using, keeping yourself clean when you go to the outhouse. Surgical gloves. A little pack of surgical gloves. If you're working on stuff, you want to be able to protect yourself if you're skinning an animal or whatnot. Again, first aid kit. Little portable first aid kit. The other thing I like to go with the first aid kit is a first aid manual. Gives you the very basics. If you're in times of emergencies, you don't want to be scrambling looking for stuff. You want to be able to look at something and get the answers as quick as you can. The other thing I like to have is just something for your hands. If some people, their hands crack quite a bit, so having that in the bag, in the box, at the end of the day, if you have problems, it's easy to be able to get it out. I also like to keep some sort of granola bar or something in the box. It's usually something I don't really like, but I know it's there in case I get really hungry or something and I want to be able to use it. And I like to keep a little pack of sugar, salt, and pepper. I was deer hunting in Wisconsin this fall and we forgot to bring salt and pepper, and my little package really come in handy. Something you can throw in the box and forget about it until the day you need it. The last thing I like to have is just a bag, and in the bag I put a bunch of plastic bags. So if I shoot some partridge or something and I need a bag to put it in, I have it on hand all the time. So just little things that you can think of that can make your kit work really good for you. One of the other things that I always do wherever I try to go somewhere is bring maps. If you're hunting, if you're trapping or something, it's always good to have a map of the area that you're trapping in. Here's my Gogama Timmins maps, my North Bay maps. It's just something that helps give you an idea. You know, you went somewhere during the day and you want to figure out where you were, you'll be able to pull out a map and check it out. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is having something to repair your chest waders or waders or your rubber boots. So I usually bring some shoe glue, some sort of patch kit, The other thing I'll do is I'll bring some mink oil so I can treat my boots, my leather boots, if they get wet. Nothing is more uncomfortable when you're out in the woods is having a soaker or some wet gear. So I try to pack something in my box that'll give me the opportunity to repair things in the evening when I get back to camp. Another kind of trick that I like to use is I bring a length of cord with me and some clothespins and even a couple of hangers if you want to hang something up. It's just a lot more easier to bring it with you and have it. I might never use it, but sometimes I go to 3 or 4 different places over the course of a year, and sometimes it's not set up as well as you like it. So being ready with kind of a little backup really gives you an advantage. Okay, so moving along on what I have in my box, I always like to carry duct tape. Duct tape can save a lot of things, can be handy for quick repairs on different stuff. I also bring aluminum foil tape, and the newer stuff, the tuck tape, is really strong stuff, so it's great to use in an emergency or just to repair something quickly. If you have it with you, it makes your life so much easier. The other thing that I like to carry with me is electrical tape. If I'm repairing something, if I have wires that break or something that I want to patch real quickly, I do that. And the other thing I like to have is a spare roll of flagging tape. I was really fortunate a couple years ago. I was out in Alberta and I stopped in at Trapper Gord's, and he had this tape that says active trap line. And it's kind of neat. You can hang it along your trap line and mark stuff so that you can say there's a trapping activity going along. The other stuff I'll carry is just regular fluorescent flagging tape for marking things as I go along in the woods. Another thing I like to bring with me all the time is my portable kit that has all my cutting instruments if I'm going to field dress something in the field. So it's got all the different tools that a person needs to field dress an animal. Very compact, folds up, ready to go. It slips in anywhere, put it in the bottom of my box. I like to bring a sharpening stone with me. I also like to have a filleting knife and just one of those Swiss Army knives with all the little gadgets on it. Just if I have to try to take something apart. And I've always had a spare chainsaw file with me. I can't remember how many times I've had to go looking for a chainsaw file, so I've learned to keep one in my kit like that. So one of the things that's really different from the mountain man era to the present era of outdoor hunting and trapping and whatnot is the different electronic gadgets that we carry with us. I'm very fortunate on my trap line to have cell coverage, and I have a cell phone booster that when I set it all up, it's got a little antenna here, goes on the top of my truck, plugs into to a power outlet. It gives me about 70% coverage on my trap line now for cell coverage. So it's really good in a case of emergency, and especially if somebody is trying to get a hold of you for some reason, you have the means now to be able to do that. Another thing I carry all the time, a GPS. Mine's a Garmin Rhino. I can load all the data of all my different sets or my hot hunting spots or hot fishing spots. I can load it into my GPS, and I'm able to call it up again when I need it. Now, by doing that, I always bring an array of cords, charging cords, because you'd be surprised how many times guys will show up at the camp with you and they don't have the right charger for whatever they brought with them. The other thing that's important is I have a battery tester. I bought this at Princess Auto. I think it was like $7, but it can be a quick check of your batteries. You see if your batteries are possible, strong enough. One thing that's really key is to make sure you have spare batteries for the stuff that you have in camp. I have AAA, I have AA, I have C batteries, I have D batteries, all the different batteries that you could possibly use in the equipment that you're bringing with you in order to have an enjoyable time at whatever you're doing. Always, and one of the biggest tricks is spare batteries, but when you use them, remember to replace them. Because if you use them all up, the next time you go out, you'll be in the same situation as if you didn't have them. Couple of things that are important is flashlights. This one's a headlamp that I wear, a flashlight, and spare bulbs and batteries as a must. Little mag lights are super handy, easy to throw in your pocket. It's nice to have not only a headlight and a hand light when you're moving around in the dark. In the north here, during the shorter time periods of the year, it can be dark at 4 and not light again until after 8 the next morning. So having flashlights is a really important thing to carry in my possibilities box. So, along with everything else I'm carrying in my box, things I also like to carry as a backup is a spare pair of felts liners for my rubber boots. Nothing worse and nothing more uncomfortable than having wet boots. Having a spare pair of felts means you can quickly change on the fly and keep on going. So you go back to the camp for whatever reason, you can throw them on in 2 seconds. Around the camp, it's nice to have, instead of walking around with your boots on, is to have a spare pair of Crocs. Now there's actually Crocs, you can see the holes in the front of these Crocs, on the side of these Crocs. There's actually what I call winter Crocs that you can buy that don't have any holes in the front. So when you're walking around the camp in the wintertime, if you walk out the door for a second, it's a lot more comfortable. You're not shoving snow inside of your toes like that. I'll bring a balaclava, just in case if it's really bitterly cold out, spare toque, and hand warmers. The chemical hand warmers that you can open up and shake and they'll work. They'll add a little bit of heat for you. If you're ice fishing, one of the greatest things, if you're sitting in a tree stand's a great thing. So something nice to carry. I also bring with me always a spare good pair of work gloves. If something breaks, you want to start working on it, it's nice to have a pair of gloves. A backup pair of mitts, hunting mitts or gloves. Ice cleats. If you get into a situation where there's a lot of ice about, it's nice to have ice cleats in your pack to throw on if you're walking on ice and it's really slippery. A set of ice cleats are really handy to have. And the last thing I like to have in that sort of department is a spare pair of liners for my winter mitts. Again, if your mitts get wet, it's not comfortable. It's a lot nicer to have a backup for you. It's easy at hand. Some really miscellaneous stuff at the end that I kind of throw into my kit that I find really handy. I have a portable crib board with a deck of cards inside. Some spare fly dope, just in case it's that time of the year. A spare memory card, if I'm taking pictures or whatever or something. A gun cleaning kit. And this I found really handy is just a set of targets. If you want to sight in something, it's nice to have a target with you in your box. Always carry lighters of different sorts. A set of binoculars in my kit. And here's one of the other real pains in the butt sometimes. If your nozzle or your gasket or your caps, you lose one or whatever and you got gas leaking, I always have spares in my possibility box. I don't know how many times, one of the things that I've used over the years quite a bit is the little caps and that. The little O-rings that come on the end of the things like this, they fall off. If you don't have spares, you can't stop it from leaking, so it's a real pain. So I really enjoy making sure that I have these. Like I said, a number of times over the years I ended up using that. Something else that I like to have is just a book or notebooks. Every time I go somewhere or I go on a hunting trip or I'm trapping or something at my camp for a few days, I always make notes of what I needed, what worked and what didn't work. And then the next time I go out, I can look at my notes and say, oh yeah, I forgot to bring my long johns or I forgot to bring something else. So having a notebook, you have the ability to record it and not repeat the mistake the next time you're out. The last couple of things I like to have, some sunglasses and some safety glasses. And I always carry spare earplugs. I use my chainsaw all the time, and it's really nice to have some sort of protection for your ears and for your eyes. And then I usually carry spare shells for whatever gun I'm going to be carrying with me. I have to remember to throw them in the kit. I don't always carry everyone with me, but I always try to have, in this case, it's a 410 for my partridge gun. So it's nice to have backups because invariably you either run out of shells or you might forget your shells. If you have a little bit of a backup, it gives you a little bit of leeway. So that's my possibility box. Believe it or not, I'm going to repack it all and I'll show you at the end. It's all packed inside of one box. The other thing that I haven't showed you that I always like to carry is a couple of spare fur bags. They're really handy for putting in sleeping bags or wet gear or something like that. So I always carry a few spare ones with me, just in case I need something to hold a bunch of my gear together if it gets all wet or whatever the case might be. So a real luxury that I was able to persuade my wife and kids to buy me for Christmas this year was a hot box. It's basically a portable shower, self-contained in one little box. The actual box, this is the box that you carry around, it's called a hot shower. And basically the box is the reservoir. When you open it up, you can take the lid off. The actual unit fits inside. You use one of those little portable cylinders that you can buy, disposable cylinders. It has a pump. It takes D batteries, 4 D batteries. The pump goes inside of the kit. You turn it on. It's heated. This actually screws right onto the top of the thing. There's an in hose and out hose. One goes to the shower head and one goes into the reservoir, and you turn the pump on and it gives you a hot shower in the camp. This is, I can't wait to try this out. I haven't used it yet. I can't wait to get up to my camp and try it out this winter. I'll probably be going up for a week or 10 days of under ice beaver trapping, and I'll be testing it out, and I'll give you guys a product review when I see if I like it or not. But so far, I've been at my camp for probably 30 years and I've never been able to have a hot shower, so I'm really looking forward to being able to use this new fancy little hot box shower that I got for Christmas. So believe it or not, everything that I showed you today fits inside my box. So I'm going to pack it here for you, and you'll see for yourself what you put in it. You can adjust your box to whatever works for whatever you do. This is stuff that I've learned to carry with me. It helps me on day-to-day activities when I'm out hunting or fishing or trapping. And if you can think of better things to add in, I'm wide open to suggestions. And like I said, this works for me. Might not work for you, but if you give it a try, I'm sure you'll be a lot more prepared when different situations occur when you're out trying to enjoy yourself in the great outdoors. So here we go. We're going to pack her up. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video as much as Oscar did. He's running away from me. But you can see the ideas that you can put inside of the box are kind of endless. I'm open to suggestions. If you think there's some better stuff to carry, please comment on today's video. Hopefully you liked it, and if you did, like it on my channel, and please subscribe. Thank you very much. Have a great day.